Hey guys, welcome to News Dump.
What started as a blessing has slowly become a curse. Has this ever happened to you? You got a few hours free on a weekend or after school or after work, so you sit down on the couch, you fire up the old Netflix, but then you spend the next 45 minutes just browsing, completely overwhelmed by how many goddamn options you've got. Of course that's happened to you, because it's happened to all of us. Often. And a big contributor to that problem is the fact that Netflix itself is constantly releasing new original series and movies literally designed from the ground up to make you stop and say, hey, that looks pretty good. Oh shit, that looks pretty good too. Oh, but what about that one?
I'd also like to take up knitting. It looks fun, but nah, I'll concentrate on something else, and then that will get replaced. It's just like real life. It's just like real life.
Exactly.
What's especially crazy is Netflix only started putting out original content in 2012 and only really started churning originals out around 2015. Granted, while plenty of it is great, there's also a lot of junk in there. But if you're already experiencing existential dread over the realization that you'll never be able to catch up on all the Netflix original content you want to watch, have a seat, because things are about to get much worse for you. Yes, much worse. This month, March of 2018, will feature more Netflix originals than any previous month ever. 54 original movies, shows, and specials.
You can't do me like this, Netflix.
No.
Slow down. So yeah, even if you trim that down to the stuff with serious name recognition, the list is still daunting. You got new seasons of Jessica Jones, Love, The Santa Clarita Diet, Trailer Park Boys, a series of unfortunate events, and Voltron, along with that Workaholics movie Game Over Man, and a Ricky Gervais stand-up special, and a new David Letterman special.
All the Joel McHale shows once a week.
Netflix's chief content officer, Ted Sarandos, said late last year that they're releasing 80 original movies in 2018. And more recently, Netflix CFO David Wells told a telecom conference that by the end of 2018, they'll have a total of around 700 original series on the platform. 700 times like 10 hours, that's 7,000 hours of content.
Well, you'll never
quit your job to watch Netflix.
Yeah. Now, it is worth mentioning that a big factor behind that ridiculous number is Netflix's continuing expansion into the rest of the world, which includes a ton of non-English series meant to attract other markets. But even if you're the type of person who hates reading subtitles, dubs over subs, get real. Netflix's American series content is going to be getting a whole bunch of Ryan Murphy content. Yep, he's the guy behind American Horror Story, American Crime Story, Feud, Nip Tuck, and Glee. And Netflix recently gave him around $300 million to make content exclusively for Netflix for the next 5 years, abandoning his longtime home of 21st Century Fox, where he was basically their #1 cash cow.
Man, Fox just can't catch a W these days.
They're doing fine with the Disney deal.
So another example of the sort of power that Netflix has these days is that Annihilation, that new Alex Garland movie starring Natalie Portman and Oscar Isaac that came out here in the US last weekend and has been getting pretty good reviews, that's being released everywhere outside the US straight to Netflix over the next few weeks. However, this has as much to do with Netflix's global rise as it has to do with the fact that Paramount ran the numbers and decided that a global theatrical release of a non-franchise science fiction movie wouldn't be financially sound.
Kind of like how they just gave Cloverfield to Netflix.
Yeah.
They looked at how recent movies like Mother and Blade Runner 2049 had failed to turn a profit. They ran some test screenings that did not go over well with mainstream theater audiences and decided to cut their losses by skipping the theaters outside the US altogether and go straight to a streaming service that people with more refined tastes, like you culture, just tastemaker, that you're already likely to use services like this, so it makes sense for them. This is great news for Netflix, obviously, but it's actually kind of terrible and scary news for everyone else. At this point, Hollywood has so little faith in moviegoers to see anything that isn't a reboot or isn't based on comics or toys or books that, in this case, they weren't even willing to try for a normal release.
Yeah, that is sad and a very scary precedent.
Also, every review that I've seen for Annihilation, which I'll probably see this weekend, says, see it on the biggest screen possible with the best sound. And it's like,
sorry, Europe and Asia and South America and anyone not in the United States.
Yeah.
Watch it on your phone. Don't even use headphones.
No.
Now, luckily, there is still a few household names behind the camera who can manage to get butts into theater seats for original stuff. And one of those is Quentin Tarantino, though he swears he is retiring soon.
He promises.
His next movie, the one that's about the Manson family and Sharon Tate's murder, it now has a title and 2 stars cast in lead roles. It's called Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and it stars Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt. Tarantino describes the plot as a story that takes place in Los Angeles in 1969 at the height of hippie Hollywood. The 2 lead characters are Rick Dalton, Leo DiCaprio, former star of a Western TV series, and his longtime stunt double, Cliff Booth, Brad Pitt. Both are struggling to make it in a Hollywood they don't recognize anymore, but Rick has a very famous next-door neighbor, Sharon Tate.
So the project is still in the early stages, and other cast members Tarantino is rumored to be pursuing include Tom Cruise, Margot Robbie, and Al Pacino. Tarantino, who has lived in Los Angeles for his whole life, said of the upcoming production, "I'm very excited to tell this story of an LA and a Hollywood that don't exist anymore, and I couldn't be happier about the dynamic teaming of DiCaprio and Pitt as Rick and Cliff."
It's some great casting.
I mean, seems like a surefire win, unless you're in Europe.
We're sending it to Netflix.
Yeah, you guys will watch it on your laptop.
You don't want to. They don't care about Tarantino. Come on.
You'll watch my movie the way it's supposed to be watched, on a flickering laptop screen that is burning a hole into your chest at night. The way it was meant to be seen.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to some very confusing news, though. This one's a doozy. So a few weeks back, it was widely reported that Warner and DC's non-canonical Joker movie, directed by Todd Phillips, had found their Joker in Joaquin Phoenix. And all that needed to be done was some paperwork to finalize the deal, a couple I's to dot, some T's to cross. And it was all pretty exciting news, as Joaquin Phoenix is a damn good actor, who we can totally see playing that role and bringing something new and exciting to it. Well... Here's the thing. Unfortunately, it seems that Joaquin Phoenix himself has no idea that he's supposed to be playing the Joker, meaning he's probably not actually playing the Joker.
Yeah. So in an interview with French outlet Allociné about his role in the upcoming Don't Worry, He Won't Get Far on Foot, Joaquin Phoenix was asked about the Joker project and replied, "What movie about Joker?" The interviewer then explains that everyone's excited about him playing the Joker, to which Phoenix replies, "Wow, that sounds amazing. Oh, cool. I have no idea what you're talking about."
So
Maybe it's another I'm still here situation.
He fooled a lot of people then. It's possible.
Hey, maybe he's going method and he's already joking. he hasn't actually ever seen what the character is.
Joker, so he's a comedian?
He's a comedian, right? Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
So yeah, it's really weird, and it's easy to read those words and think, oh, he's just joking around. But if you actually watch the clip, the man seems genuinely baffled by what's being said to him, and really uncomfortable, just like blindsided.
Well, he's a great actor, Elliot.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's a talented actor who's probably really good at lying.
Yeah.
They all are. They're professional liars. But what would be the point of this lie?
Why would someone go on the internet, well, technically this got hosted on the internet, and lie?
Yeah. So I don't know. Who knows what the hell's going on? It's just yet another example of things that make outsiders, like us, think that the DC movie universe might be a total mess from the inside out.
I feel like it's always just testing the waters. Like they're like, what if we cast Joaquin Phoenix? Hey, why don't you leak to one of your catering buddies? Yeah, have him send it over to Humberto Gonzalez and to see what people think.
Yeah, he's over in Europe. He didn't put minutes on it, so they can't get a hold of him. So they're like, what if we just tell Variety and Deadline and the Hollywood Reporter, like, yeah, he's got the job. And that way he'll see it and he'll be like, oh, I got the job.
I also like the fact that Joaquin Phoenix, completely oblivious to online rumor movie news, just obviously isn't watching Screen Junkies or Collider.
No.
He watches us. He just skips news dump like everyone else. This is also, there's also good news for people who still can't get more and more Marvel movies fast enough. Because what will arguably be their biggest movie of all time so far, and the culmination of everything that they've done over the past decade, Avengers Infinity War, that movie will be coming out sooner than anyone expected.
It's on Netflix right now.
Look under your seat.
Yeah.
It's your laptop, and it's playing Infinity. No, we'll get to it. The months of April, May, and June are now a complete mess of ultra-hyped movies because while it's not at all that strange for movies to change their release dates from time to time, the whole road is clogged with blockbusters, resulting in some moving and shaking from gigantic films like we've rarely seen before.
Got too many blockbusters. Need to take some.
My arteries are clogged with blockbuster movies.
So this all started back in December when the first rumors started surfacing that seemed to confirm that people familiar with the Star Wars Solo film that the movie was a mess, and it might end up being Disney's first flop since taking over Lucasfilm. We finally got a trailer for Solo, and it's pretty unanimous that people are stoked for Donald Glover's portrayal of Lando Calrissian at the very least, but not much else. So it wasn't too much of a surprise when we heard that Deadpool 2 was going to get shifted a little bit, and it was actually moved ahead to May 18th. The Deadpool 2 would have sucked out all the air of Solo if it stayed on its original release date, but now Solo has a little elbow room to run without a whole lot of competition.
Yeah, obviously, it smells a bit like Disney working with
Collusion.
Fox, a company that it will officially own sometime in the very near future. But according to insiders, that's not the case. Okay, buddy.
Okay, Umberto.
But with Deadpool 2 dropping on May 18th, that only gave Avengers Infinity War 14 days to become the biggest movie of all time for Marvel Studios and Disney. And while we're sure that Infinity War will be a huge hit, 2 weeks, not really a whole lot of time for it to break a ton of records while knowing how excited the exact same fan base is for Deadpool 2. So, fuck it, let's just release it early. And that's what they're doing.
What they should do is every year at the Oscars, they should have musical chairs with a bunch of Hollywood executives, and the chairs each have a date on them.
That's when you have to release your movie.
And we get to watch it. But yeah, so this announcement that came in typical Marvel fashion, very lame and obvious social media marketing, which is totally on brand for them considering the last few leaks or announcements were presented as social media mistakes, like, whoops, Tom Holland accidentally opened a top secret poster live on his Instagram. Oh geez, now the fans are more excited about his movie. This time it was Robert Downey Jr. replying to a tweet from Marvel Studios asking if he could see Infinity War earlier than May 4th, to which they replied, anything for you, Mr. Stark. How's April 27th? Blah, 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 blah. The conversation continued with a back and forth that was ripe for retweets from eager, thirsty fans. Great. With friends? You mean these friends? They then linked the Twitter accounts for the characters. The entire world, Downey asked, already knowing the answer? That's a fantastic idea. Oh, does that mean the Fantastic Four are in it? Uh-oh. Done. Avengers Infinity War in theaters everywhere, April 27th. At least they didn't say no more, fam. That would have made it extra lame. But yeah, this all gives it almost an extra week of zero competition inside of a stacked couple months so they can rake in all that sweet, sweet Marvel cash. Yeah, whatever. We get to see it earlier now. Everyone does, so it's good for everyone.
Yeah. It makes total sense.
You don't need to stage this whole dog and pony show.
Well, the fact of the matter is like, say that it hasn't been finalized yet, but Disney did buy Fox. It's just waiting for all that government red tape. But so these are all, in their perfect world, these are all the same company. You've got Solo, a movie they're very worried about. You've got Deadpool 2, a surefire hit. And you've got Infinity War, which is going to probably be their biggest movie of the year. And before all these changes, they were right here, just sucking the life out of each other.
Yeah.
So they literally just spread them across almost 3 months from each other, where like Solo, when it comes out, it doesn't really have any competition outside of like children's movies for a month.
Yeah.
Now Deadpool 2 has, nobody watching Deadpool 2 is going to care about Solo, but that has a lot more room, and now Infinity War has a lot more room to actually rake in all the money before people go see Deadpool 2. It's genius. It's sad that like the 3 biggest movies potentially of the year so far are all owned by one company, which is scary.
Well, see, you say that, but once Trump gets the paperwork on his desk, he can be like, you know what, I actually liked the most recent Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah.
I think Fox should keep the rights. And he tears it up.
Yeah. There you go.
It's gonna happen.
Could happen.
Moving on to trailers now, we've got WreckIt Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet, in which Ralph and Lil Sarah Silverman escape the walled garden of that arcade, and they venture out into the internet to try and find a vintage part for an arcade cabinet to save their lives or something.
What's this Pepe thing everyone's talking about?
Yeah, if the concept of sentient video game characters traveling the internet through a literal series of tubes was in fact accurate, this movie would be filled with pornography and be rated NC-17. Ralph would become a white nationalist within days.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. They would get to the Rule 34 section and be very, very upset.
But since it's a kids movie, the internet that we get here includes like mobile games and clickbait journalism and lots of cats.
They're like, you know what was great? That Emoji Movie.
Yeah, it's full of brand placement. It gives the vibe that the whole thing is one big commercial, kind of like the Emoji Movie or Food Fight. But I don't know. At this point, we trust the people behind Zootopia and the original WreckIt Ralph to make something decent. So we'll see, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, oh, like I think I see the part. Let's go over to eBay. It's like,
I don't know.
How much is eBay paying?
As long as they run into the guy from Quap, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody!
Hey, I think we should help him.
We gotta help him. This guy's suffering from some severe disabilities. Anyways, next up, a teaser trailer for HBO's adaptation of Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451, starring Michael B. Jordan as a young fireman recruit in a future where firemen don't put out fires, but rather go around setting books on fire because they inspire a little too much free thinking. Michael Shannon, plays his mentor and seems like he'll be his usual menacing self, and this looks pretty great. One big plot hole, though, that we're noticing right off the bat is that after seeing Michael B. Jordan in Black Panther, we're pretty sure he doesn't need a blowtorch to destroy books. He could just easily tear them apart with his bare hands.
This is the power of Christ right here.
Still very strange that happened in public schools in the 90s. He was also the Human Torch in Fantastic Four, so maybe he's just going to use his hands.
I think he's probably trying to put that behind him.
I would assume
like
so.
everyone else.
But not Marvel. They said the word fantastic in a tweet, so you know what that means.
Let's read way too into this.
Yeah.
If the fucking Fantastic Four show up in Infinity War, I might be mad.
Yeah, I might be a little upset.
Anyway, fans of movies like Sicario, Hell or High Water, and Wind River should start getting excited because the writer of those movies, Taylor Sheridan, has a new series coming to the Paramount Network called Yellowstone, and we got a trailer for it. It looks like it'll have a lot of the same rural dread and violence as those movies. It stars Kevin Costner as the head of a ranching family in Montana who's fallen on hard times, but the trailer doesn't give away too much real detail aside from the fact that people are definitely going to be shot, whipped, branded, burned, and blown the fuck up throughout the course of the season, which is enough to pique our interest.
Yeah, also the Paramount Network they took over Spike.
Yeah, and they already had
They have Bar Rescue still. They kept Bar Rescue.
Well, they also have is it Waco that they have?
I think that's on that channel.
Yeah, which is supposed to be great.
Yeah, they're really trying to pivot, but they were like, Bar Rescue is the anchor that keeps this thing afloat, so we got to keep that. I think they got rid of like Ink Masters and all that other
After
trash.
everything Taffer has done for the bar industry, it would be wrong to give him the boot off the Paramount.
There was like a social media like totally stunk of marketing thing where like the Spike Network was like angry that Paramount was taking over, and like while people through all of the shows were like, boo this, fuck this, Paramount Network taking over, John Taffer kept tweeting like, so happy to be a part of the Paramount Network. Everything's gonna be great.
Oh, they didn't bring your show with you too?
Well, I guess you need a show rescue.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You know, we need Kevin Costner. I'm gonna bring my buddy Kevin Costner in.
Kevin.
That's a fun thing to think about. But next up, we have the trailer for Chappaquiddick. About that time in 1969 that young Senator Ted Kennedy drove home from a party with a young woman who wasn't his wife and ended up driving his car off a bridge, drowning that young woman. He then waited until the next morning to actually report the accident to authorities, creating one hell of a scandal. Just 1 year after his brother Robert's assassination, and also 6 years after his brother John's assassination.
These Kennedys can't catch a break.
Jason Clarke plays Ted and seems to have absolutely nailed his look and voice and mannerisms, and the cast also includes Kate Mara as the Dead Girl, an IMDb credit that
she has a name.
Along with Jim Gaffigan, Bruce Dern, and Ed Helms. Ooh, Bruce Dern?
Yeah.
Big Bruce Dern
I'm
fan.
still here, damn it. Wheel me over to the set.
I play old Ted Kennedy.
I play very old, angry people.
Yeah. Well, he was cursed with brain cancer.
I think he plays Joe Kennedy. No, he doesn't.
Ted Kennedy was cursed with brain cancer because of his whole deal.
And finally, guys, The Room's Tommy Wiseau and Greg Sestero, they are reunited on screen once again in Best Friends, or Best Fiends, depending on how you read it. It has parentheses in the middle of the word. I don't know. So Sestero plays a drifter who gets taken in by an eccentric mortician played by Wiseau. Believable. And the two of them get into some sort of unsavory illegal business together before Sestero's character gets greedy and runs off with a bunch of money. This isn't directed or written by Tommy Wiseau, so don't expect another The Room, but it is written by Greg Sestero.
Who is arguably a much better writer.
Yeah.
He wrote a book.
And apparently the story was just so long that Best Friends is actually broken up into 2 films, which are going to be released theatrically by Fathom Events in select theaters on March 30th, April 2nd for the first one, and June 1st and June 4th for the second one.
Oh, thank God they're giving enough time for Avengers Infinity War.
Yeah.
So, luckily they didn't have to move this movie around.
Yeah, also a friend of the show, Paul Shearson, I think he mentioned that when he was on our podcast. Yeah. So he will now have worked alongside fake Tommy Wiseau and real Tommy Wiseau.
It's great.
Pretty interesting career distinction.
Yeah. Anyways, that's it for this week's episode of News Dump. Be sure to check out our new episode of Weekly Weird News where you can inject your penis with things and make it bigger. Also check out a new episode of Tech News Day where everyone's trying this Vero thing and maybe you shouldn't.
Yeah, maybe don't.
Bye.
Bye.